From the beginning, we really wanted to be a church in the city for the city. The way we've talked about it from the very beginning is that we want to build a great city through the gospel of Jesus Christ for the glory of God. All of this was a deep burden and conviction, but we didn't have anything else. We didn't have a name, we didn't have a building, we didn't have money. We had an idea and thought that this is what God wanted us to do. And so we just started spreading the word and inviting people to join us.
There were about 12 to 15 of us would gather regularly for prayer, usually on Sunday evening.
We'd have a little time of prayer and singing, and we would just be circled around in chairs in this little community room.
I think that was the second preview gathering.
In November 2010. And we remember distinctly meeting the Lundys, and Charlene, I think she jumped over some rows of chairs to greet us. So when we left, we said, well, we would definitely be known there.
There were so few of us and such a big city, and it was just so clear that we were called to be on mission to the city of Seattle. Like, the people around us needed Christ, and we were the ones who needed to tell them.
I can remember early on, just when we were thinking about names and talking with Adam and going back and forth, wanting to have a name that was cool, but yet lasting. It just became clear that Downtown Cornerstone was just a very deep and very rooted and anchored name that would last for hopefully centuries to come.
Our first 10 months downtown were focused on inviting people to join the church, sharing the gospel, helping people move downtown, serving the city, building out our vision, and creating materials to help articulate who we are and why we're doing what we're doing. And that took about 10 months. At the end of that time, we had roughly 40 to 60 people, and we were ready to launch.
I know one of the things that stood out just in those early years was just the culture of pursuit.
I wanted to meet every single new person that walked in the door. I wanted to make sure that I welcomed and greeted, and I think that was just our family dynamic from the beginning. All of us wanted to make it feel like a very welcoming, warm place.
That friendliness, that pursuit, that knowledge that my first Sunday I was a new person, the next Sunday I was now a veteran, and I needed to welcome new people.
We got the church's address on the website, and we were walking around downtown trying to find a church, and we couldn't find it. Like, where is this church? What is this? And then I think Sarah made a joke like, oh, it's going to be in this mall here. And then we saw a sign, DCC. Oh, it maybe is in this mall. And then she joked, oh, I bet it's going to be in the movie theater. Imagine that. And then it was.
The AMC years were really sweet years. We saw a ton of growth happen during that time, both numerically and qualitatively.
The fun that we've had and the sticky floors of the theater and the things that are just awkward. I think the Three Stooges started playing one time during a sermon.
We were just so thankful to be in a more permanent gathering space.
Yeah.
I remember sitting down with one of our community leads who was telling me that he had 35 people in his 700 square foot apartment, and it was messy. But I remember at the end of the conversation he said, but it was awesome because he got to see Jesus work and move in and amongst the mess.
The kids loved it because we were going to the theater. We had a lot of friends, eventually, as more families came, that called it the escalator church because there were so many escalators to go on.
It was really great because knowing that the church was not bound to a building. You know, we could meet in a movie theater with popcorn in the background and the DDR machine going during kids ministry, and it didn't matter because we were there and Jesus was there, and that's all that we needed.
It was very important for us to find a church where the Bible was very central, and books were preached like in sequence with careful attention paid to what it was actually saying. And we saw, like, even from the first sermon in the Gospel of Mark, that this is something that was going to happen at DCC.
The baptisms we were seeing, from Advent baptisms to Easter to Myrtle Edwards or South Lake Union, were real stories and like significant stories of God's redemption.
I got to get baptized with 3 of my best friends the same day, which is amazing. In a very real sense, I was proclaiming that Jesus is my Savior to my world, not only to the church people that already knew that, but to a lot of the people that were part of my past life.
Every baptism in those early years just felt so personal. It was just an amazing and holy experience to get to witness their life being changed.
We saw leaders get developed. We got to install Pastor David as another pastor with DCC. We got to send our first missions team to Brazil. We got to multiply our communities around the city, and we got to see the Lord save more people and create more gospel astonishment among us.
It quickly grew a lot. The whole time in Cornerstone Kids, it just felt like, man, we are way over our heads. We aren't parents. Most of our friends aren't parents. The teachers aren't parents. We don't know what we're doing, but it was just constantly seeing the Lord show up.
Because we had so many people coming from all over the place, from other cities, from different churches within our city who just needed a home and needed to be cared for.
The transition was a hard time because we were out of community for a while. And we always talk about the importance of being in community, but when you're out of it, you realize that you get a bit very alone, and it was a very hard time in my own spiritual walk, our marriage.
When we started visiting DCC in 2015, it was friendly and comfortable, and I saw people that I knew, and for some reason I just felt that I just needed to fight that. And then all of a sudden I just felt the Holy Spirit say, Rachel, I have found a new home for you.
The longer we were at AMC, the more we realized that we needed to find a more permanent home, and so we started pursuing any place that could potentially fit us throughout the city. We contacted theaters, concert venues, hotel, convention centers. Nobody would welcome us. We went back to the owners of our current space for the 7th or 8th time, and they, by God's grace, said they were willing to talk to us, and that led to some negotiations, which led to us getting into this space in March of 2015.
When DCC announced they're moving into this building, I got a chance to move the desks for Pastor Adam as one of my roles into the space downstairs where his office was. And the significance was, I remember moving the desk out when Marsfield Downtown left this building, and I thought it would never be a church again. And so that was a moment that I cried because I realized that God's plan all along was much bigger than mine.
It is a gift to see God show up every single Sunday. In spite of our life circumstances during the week, our heart stances during the week and there, God shows up every single time. And not in a way that you're like, oh, was that him? Like, no, it was him.
I was just really blessed by the outpouring of volunteers that we had who wanted to join and wanted to do something as simple as make coffee or take out trash as a way to bless the church family.
And it really created a brand new season for us as a church of greater stability, greater awareness around the city.
They advertised communities, and I was like, no thank you, I'm not doing that. And then the people who were hosting Pioneer Square made an announcement saying there were no women who came to it. I went to it, and for some reason I felt like I really fit in there, and it felt like I want to be here, and I need to hear what these people think about the gospel.
So many more people are meeting Jesus, and just each community can reach out to their neighborhood, and before that was like 3, and now it's 14.
The growth is phenomenal, and I have friends in all of the communities because I've known some of them for years.
Just coming to DCC and seeing how people love each other for no reason was really astounding to me, and it's like, I want to be a part of that.
We get to walk alongside one another in the seasons where we feel really dry, and in the seasons where we feel really passionate about Jesus and what he's doing.
And so I've just grown to see a deep need for being with other people because of those constant reminders that I am loved, I am justified, they are loved, they are justified. We can look nothing alike and be friends, the deepest of friends, and none of those appearances really matter.
TCC is a family. That's what I primarily think of it as. Our family is made up of just tons of different types of people. We have people who are coming off the streets, and we have people who are CEOs and running corporations in downtown Seattle, and we love it.
Seriously, it's been really cool going back and looking at all of the different ways that the Lord has provided when it just seemed like there was no way.
It's been that way the whole time.
Yeah, it's been unreal.
Where's the money going to come from?
Yeah.
We don't know. Where are the people going to come from? We don't know. Are the people going to stay? We don't know. Where are we going to meet? We don't know. What are we doing? We don't know. But we love
Trust in
Jesus, and he is our treasure. And if there's anything that we've learned over the last 5 years, it's really what we began with, is recognizing that Jesus is the prize.
The gospel is not just a part of Christianity, but it is the root and it is foundational.
There's no sugarcoating or Pollyanna about hard circumstances. The gospel tells it like it is.
Moving our family downtown to a tiny apartment and living in a city where not everything is perfectly comfortable, and it's worth it.
Downtown Cornerstone Church to me is
pursuit, dependent,
Jesus obsessed,
joyful,
visional.
It's Seattle loving,
welcoming,
humble,
gospel-centered,
loving,
real,
family.
And the reason that we're here is so that as many people as possible can come to know him and love him and live in light of all that he is for us forever.